All right, we are live with Around the Mat. Welcome back. I'm Conscious Keelan, your host, the giver of the points and or the poots. Coming to you first, introducing the man, the myth, the fedora wearing legend, Brandon McCatherine.
Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome to the show.
We also have joining us today, as always, Matt Skaff.
Brandon, you had a very Ron Burgundy vibe right there. So starting off the show well.
We also have returning guest, Drew Weatherhead.
Sup, peoples?
Today, this week, we have a new guest joining us. We have Tim Freeman.
What's up, everybody?
All right, so those of you that are joining us for the first time, let me introduce everybody over here on the side, like kind of what they do. So, Skaff, kind of just quick background on who you are and what you do, like jiu-jitsu.
I'm a first degree black belt in the 10th Planet System. I am not a moonhead. I teach here alongside Brandon. Some people say that all of Brandon's best techniques have come from the mind of Skaff.
One person says that.
Okay, only a couple people have said that. But no, it's been an honor to really learn and to mentor under Brandon for many years. And that's who I am. I'm a first degree black belt under the man, the myth, the fedora wearing legend.
I got to know first, before we carry on with my credentials, if those are actually your kids' belts in the background. Is that what you went? Those are all the ranks that you held?
These are all Brandon's belts. That's how close me and Brandon are, that I watch over his belts.
Damn.
Make sure nobody touches.
I feel like some of those are made up. I think
Those
he
are
just
my-
made up extra ones.
Those are my Tung Sudo belts on the bottom. And
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're made up for sure.
Yeah.
I am also a black belt, a 0 degree black belt. I always wonder, like, is first degree the first one, or is it the first degree? I've never had a good answer for that, but my belt is black, and I am the creator of Because Jitsu. So all the memes that you like out there and share and harass and bully your white and blue belt friends with, those are my creations. And I am here to also give hot takes and to hurt people's feelings and get those points.
Hey, what's up? I'm Tim Freeman. I am a black belt in the gi. I have 1 degree on my belt, and I am not a black belt at 10th Planet yet. That's coming someday. And I am the Moonhead out at 10th Planet Stockton. I just moved out to Nashville, and we're opening a gym out here, and I'm super stoked. I am the host of the Inside BJJ podcast, and I'm super happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you guys. Of course, I'm excited to have Skaff always. Drew, these people are old hat, but Tim, he's new to the area, 10th Planet Nashville now. And Tim was actually, Open Mat was the first jiu-jitsu podcast that I ever heard. But then after that, the first one that I really got into was the Inside BJJ podcast.
Yeah, I remember that because you were a guitar playing fool, man. I remember that, dude. That was awesome.
Yeah, so I was super into that show, man. Back in the
Hey,
day.
can we qualify something really quick for the people that didn't hear the preamble outside? So Tim is a moonhead, and that's apparently not an insult. That's a certification. Brandon, are you also a moonhead?
Oh, I'm a moonhead.
Damn. Skaff, we're against a couple moonheads today. How's that make you feel?
I've been going against moonheads for a long time.
This sounds like a video game thing, like some RPG character is a moonhead.
Yeah.
So, Keelan, give everybody a little rundown on how exactly the game works and what we're going to be up to here.
Yeah, so we've got some topics. Here they are. Check them out. We're going to go through here. I'm going to ask for y'all's take on these topics. I'll just kind of distribute points as accordingly. So, like, we'll start with this one. Gilbert Burns, grappling. Gilbert Burns is a UFC guy. He just had a fight this past weekend. Showed some good grappling, etc. Let's talk about it. Where does his grappling rank amongst jiu-jitsu guys, and where does his grappling rank in the UFC?
So I'll go ahead and start this bad boy off. Okay, so Gilbert Burns had, in my opinion, a phenomenal performance. Now, it wasn't as exciting. He was getting booed a little bit because people were getting used to the super exciting Gilbert Burns that goes out there, one punch knockouts. He has had a phenomenal UFC run that led him to fight for the title, and he had a really good title fight against Kamaru Usman. This was a big fight for him, though. He needed to win this fight to reassert himself as the number 1 or number 2 contender. And he did something that nobody else has been able to do. He took down Wonder Boy in every single round. I was shocked that he took Wonder Boy down as easily as he did. He took him down with a couple of different techniques. He shot from the outside. He got him to the cage. He used body locks. He used single legs. I was so impressed with this performance. It really made me kind of question, what is Gilbert Burns' ceiling? I've been high on Gilbert Burns, but I am way higher after this weekend. I am definitely buying Gilbert Burns stock. And I think if you just look at the 170-pound division, there's a really good argument to be made that he is the best overall grappler. And some people would say that he may be the best overall grappler in the UFC, especially now that Khabib is gone. That mantle is open. And with the wrestling he displayed, and then obviously being a world champion in jiu-jitsu and an ADCC medalist, I really think the sky's the limit for this guy. And I think he has the potential to be the next Brazilian jiu-jitsu UFC champion.
Yeah. All right. So before I get into my breakdown on the fight, I'm really curious, is there actually a stock for Gilbert Burns? Like if there's a crypto, what would that be, a Gib? Can I get a few Gib from you, Skaff? Because so I was having this conversation with a couple of my,
because he's short for Cardano right now.
That's big facts, man. Yeah, don't let him forget. I had a couple of students that were talking about the fight the day before at an open mat, and they were saying, well, I mean, Gilbert is obviously the underdog in this one. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I feel like Wonder Boy's in a lot of trouble going into this fight, and they couldn't believe it. It's like, no way. Like, Wonder Boy's going to absolutely kill in this fight. I'm like, listen, Gilbert needs to grab him once. He just needs to grab him. And just like Skaff said, he was able to do that every single round. And I think he would have been able to do that for 10 more rounds in perpetuity. He just has a way of getting a hold of somebody, finding his in. It's not quite GSP level, but it's that type of thing where you don't think he's going to shoot and then he's on you. And then you're working from the back foot, right? So there was a couple really good shots that led into some cage work. And there was a sick ass takedown where he got a body lock and like spun him 180 and took him down. Like, people do not understand the level of Gilbert Burns grappling for the typical casual MMA fan, and they're just expecting Wonder Boy to do something wondrous. He was never going to win that fight, in my opinion. I think Gilbert wins that fight most times. 9 out of 10 times he wins that fight. I never bet on the lucky punch, and I feel like that's what Wonder Boy needed, was a lucky punch in that one. Now, before I get off the topic, though, I want to shit on Dana White a little bit. Because in the post-fight press conference, he's singing everybody's praises, even the undercard guys, because they got knockouts and submissions. And then he's like legitimately, seriously shit on his own co-main event for the guy that he is going to be having to give another title shot to pretty soon. I think that's age is bad business. But B, when did this guy become a casual? When is he the stand-him-up guy? Because you couldn't ask for something better as a grappler, from Gilbert's side. That was the perfect strategy. Sure, he didn't get him submitted, but look, he had him Khabib'd on the ground against the cage for the majority of the dominant parts of every round. Like, if this were Khabib, because his stock is so high, he'd be like, oh, it's so amazing, he dominated. But it's because it's Gilbert. What has Gilbert got to do? You know what I mean?
As I predicted, Gilbert Burns wins the fight, and he wins it with the same strategy that I predicted. So we said coming in last week that Stephen Thompson, he's phenomenal on the feet, but Gilbert Burns is phenomenal on the feet too. Gilbert Burns has 2 great ways to win, and Stephen Thompson has 1 great way to win. And Gilbert kept it even on the feet, and then he utilized his grappling to dominate. So the question, though, like, we're breaking down the fight, but the question was, let's talk about Gilbert Burns grappling. Is it the best in the UFC, right? And I think that you can make the argument that he might be the best overall grappler in the UFC. especially like, I don't know if you got to say that he's the best wrestler. I don't know if you're going to say that he's the best pure submission artist, but I think you got to say at this point, again, like to Skaff's credit, with Khabib out of the picture, with Khabib off the table, who takes that crown? Man, he can put people down and he can control them. And what I love about his grappling is that he's able to control and dominate and stop guys from getting up. Steven's an expert at getting back to his feet. He's an expert at using that cage to go back up and to stop people from taking him down. And I almost said Khabib. And Burns was able to get him down, yes. Closing the range on Stephen Thompson. That's one of those shots was from so far away.
Yeah,
like
the first
one shot was the very first shot that he took from so far away. I know he had that great body lock takedown, but the one that impressed me was he closed the range, the kickboxing range, with a shot, which is super dangerous, but his timing was perfect and he got the takedown off of it. So, yeah, I think that his level of control is perfect for fighting. He's able to hold people down and punish them and wear them out and exhaust them. And yes, I do think that Gilbert Burns is the premier grappler in MMA right now.
So I mean, it's really hard to go Gilbert Burns is not a good grappler. I mean, nobody's going to take that side of the equation. I'm not surprised that he's doing so well with his grappling. I mean, that I knew Gilbert Burns as a jiu-jitsu guy. That's how I knew of him, I should say. Like when he showed up in the UFC, I was like, oh, that's the jiu-jitsu Gilbert Burns. So, and he was already world-class level already at that time. He was a very, very high-level grappler. So for him to, make the jump and be successful, not that huge of a surprise. There has been, though, I think, an overall just letdown and like jiu-jitsu guys going to MMA and we're like, yeah, they're going to represent and submit everybody. And a lot of times it's a lot of times like, yeah, man, it's not that great. With Demian Maia kind of winding out his career, I would say it's a pretty strong argument that Burns is probably the most well-rounded grappler out there right now. Like I think you guys are right. He might not be the best wrestler or he might not be the best submission artist, but he puts it all together with his striking in a very intelligent way. So it's hard to argue against that. But don't get too happy with the ding-ding, because here's the thing. Taking Stephen Thompson down right now at his point in his career is not that. I don't think it's that big of a feat. I really don't. He's
come on.
Listen. He's got bum knees. All right. He's getting older. It's not that big of a surprise. Everybody knows his game. Gilbert Burns has watched it. The playbook is out on him. He closed the distance and got the takedown. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I honestly didn't.
Okay, so the next fight for Wonder Boy, if he goes up against somebody with okay grappling, he gets taken down because of his bum knees?
Yes. And I'll come back on the show.
I was going to say, that's a poo-worthy statement.
I'll bet you some Gib-X. I'm already off of Gib. I'm already off of that. That crashed already.
Damn, son. You shorten the Gib.
So
yeah, that's right.
Here's the big question, all right? There's two big questions. In the 170-pound division, how does his grappling stack up in an MMA fight against Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman? And would you rather have T. City's grappling, Charles Olivier's grappling, or Gilbert Burns' grappling?
It depends on who you're fighting, right? 100%. Like I think if I was Burns, I think is a better grappler than Covington. Like Covington's a good fighter. He's got a lot of heart. He stays in there. He mixes it up well. But I don't think he's well-rounded enough in terms of the grappling expertise. Usman, let's see. Usman, I think Burns is a better grappler than Usman, but I don't know if Burns could beat Usman. Right. So I would rather have Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu against Usman. If I was going to fight Usman, I'd rather have that, because Ortega is a very classic Gracie jiu-jitsu, the freaking Torrance lineage. It's very strike oriented, very much self-defense oriented. And you could see how much success he's had with that jiu-jitsu already. And I think he got kind of bit by the striking bug, which he strikes so much, but his jiu-jitsu is great for getting finishes. I'd rather have his jiu-jitsu against Usman.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd fully agree with that, because I think if there was a grappling exchange between Kamaru Usman and Fancy Boy, what's his name, with the hair,
Ortega.
Ortega, yeah. If there was a grappling exchange, it would be because Kamaru instigated it. There's no way that it goes the other way around. There's zero chance that he would be able to force a grappling fight against Usman, because I mean, we saw Gilbert try to do that, and well, I mean, he didn't really try to do that, because I think that it wouldn't be a good exchange. Because again, like what Brandon was saying, his overall grappling is great, but his wrestling I don't think is as high, and that's necessary to take it to the ground, right? So Ortega would probably never see the ground against an Usman who would just keep him standing and knock him out. Whereas I think that Burns, it probably kind of negates at the wrestling. I didn't see him get, taken down. I don't see him taking Usman down, and then it just comes down to who's banging harder that day.
All right, let's move on down the list because.
Oh no, this one's sad.
We have some people interested. So let's talk about it. Ryan Hall. He. What do y'all think about his strategy? What do you think about the fight?
I'll go first. So, y'all know. Can we pour one out for Ryan Hall real quick?
Please.
I think all the people that said Ryan's the best MMA grappler need a poop.
Yeah, we need to put those people in a Vitamix.
Well, that was me. I didn't say best MMA grappler. I said best jiu-jitsu player in MMA. And hey, pull me back up to the solo, Keelan. Let me say something. I stand beside that, because what I think happened on Saturday night to Ryan Hall had very little, if anything, to do with his jiu-jitsu. All right? It had to do with his boxing. His boxing, he's not confident enough in his boxing to engage in a range that allows him to wrestle. And so we never get to see his jiu-jitsu unless he does a wild entry. Right? So it wasn't his jiu-jitsu that failed him. He threw the same thing that failed Ryan Hall was the same thing that failed Chris Weidman, is that spinning back kick. He throws this spinning hook kick, tries to land it. He gets Topuria gets the jump on him, puts him on the ground. Now Ryan's trying to run, and Granby just trying to get away, and Granby, he's not even doing jiu-jitsu. He's just running away, and he gets cracked and finished. But I don't think that we learned anything about Ryan Hall's jiu-jitsu. I think we learned a lot about Ryan Hall's hesitancy to engage in boxing range. I think we learned that if he can't get into boxing range, then he has to get to how do you get it to the ground as a jiu-jitsu guy? How do you employ your jiu-jitsu if you don't engage in boxing range? Boxing and takedown range is the same. Kickboxing range is too far for a shot, which is, we were just talking about that with Burns a second ago. I said, oh, he shot from so far away. Well, that's unusual. He was able to clear the shot from kickboxing range. That's strange. Ryan Hall can't do that, and it's not his wrestling or his jiu-jitsu or his kickboxing that's the problem. It's his hesitancy to engage in the boxing range. So I don't think we learned anything about Ryan Hall's jiu-jitsu. I think we learned, spinning back kicks are a bad play. Yeah, Russell in the chat, he knows what's up. Tell him, give me a point, Russell. I need to hear them coins.
Russell, don't you weigh down this. I need to get my points in here. I feel like jiu-jitsu let him down by proxy, but what really let him down was his strategy, because he came in, at least on the surface. Look, we didn't even see a full round, but on the surface right away, he was spamming the same move he's used for the last couple fights. So his strategy sucked, and which it blows my mind, because he's a brilliant person. You know what I mean? That kind of hurt my feelings, because if I had to fight Ryan Hall, and nobody wanted to fight him before this, so this dude that said, yeah, I'm going to fight him, what do you think the first thing he's going to practice to avoid is? Probably the diving, Granby, leg grabby shit. And so, like, that stuff works best when you don't expect it. It's really shitty when you do. And if that's the thing he's expecting and it keeps coming, yeah, he's not going to connect. He's not going to hook up. He's not going to be able to force the ground game. And I want to put another, maybe I should put this as a GoFundMe to get Dana's attention. I think that spinning shit in general should be illegal. And not because it doesn't work, is because it makes good people look bad. Can we all remember when Chael Sonnen tried to spin on Anderson Silva? That was a spin heard around the world. No. You go back and watch the Chael Sonnen fight and tell me when he lost that fight. Then you come watch the Ryan Hall fight and tell me when he lost that fight. It was the spinning shit. You know what I mean? Like maybe Nate Diaz won't agree, but I don't know, man. The spinning shit tends to hurt people's careers more than it tends to help them.
Here's what happened, guys. Ryan Hall is too smart for his own good. He was the innovator. He was the guy that was doing something nobody else was doing. Nobody would fight him. And I think his ego just got probably a little bit out of control. I just think that he thought he could kind of go in there and guys were just going to fall into his traps. And I didn't see the same strategy. It looked like he had developed some new move that I guess he was just dominating his sparring partners with. It had to be, right? Because Firas Zahabi, he checked off on this game plan. You know, I know people are saying he broke his hand after the first punch, but it doesn't matter. Like, his strategy looked the same. He did the same three things the entire time. He was trying some bizarre, like, entry that I've never seen before. It was like he was trying to pull, like, false guard, or he was trying to, like, and when he missed that, he was having to Granby back to the guard. I've never seen anything like it. The strategy, I mean, obviously in hindsight, it was just a horrible strategy. I just can't believe that a year and a half, we don't see Ryan Hall fight for a year and a half, that's what he developed. Like, that was the game plan, you know? He only tried like 2 Imanari rolls. He really only tried like 2 Imanari rolls. Everything else was that, like, he was trying to reach around with his left arm and grab his opponent's left leg, and I guess I have no idea what he was expecting to happen off of that. But it was just a really bad performance, and I think honestly he's going to get cut. He's going to get cut.
No.
Does anybody know?
Hold on, bro. I think Ryan's strategy was this. What it looked like to me was it didn't matter as long as he could get a clinch and turn it into a fight. And so he was just looking for an unusual clinch to get the guy grappling with him. And I think that he must have discovered that during training that what Skaff called the reach around there. He hasn't been, I don't know where you learned about this kind of thing, but
don't Google that.
Yeah. As he was trying to hit his reach around.
Yeah.
Like, he was just looking to engage, and then probably the guy scrambles out and he starts to jump and take the back off of that, or to get into the legs. So I don't know. I think he was just anything to turn it into a grappling situation.
I think Skiff is right. I think you guys, I think Skiff was right. I think he was working on, Ryan Hall was working on something particular. If you watch, he did the Imanari roll stuff. Everyone expects that. And by the way, look, he's 4-0 in the UFC. Why is he going to change his strategy? Like, this shit's working. People don't want to fight him. Why is he going to go in there and go like, I'm going to stand and bang now, or I'm going to change it up? Then we'd all be yelling like, oh, he should have stuck to his plan. He didn't stick to his plan. He's going to go with what works. But it looked to me like he was kind of like using this false passivity to draw his opponent in and get him a little too attached. And then he was trying to drop down and hit some like odd roll into the legs. He did it over and over again. I think he was spamming it maybe because he didn't think the guy could defend it. And maybe here's the thing. If when he tries this, endless loop of Granbys, if he doesn't get his arm caught in that underhook position, he may roll out of that and get a submission. We don't know, right? We might be talking about how innovative and amazing he is right now. It's just the style that he uses. It's a style that when it works, it looks great. And when it fails, it usually fails spectacularly, right? And people go like, we got to change this. But I want to see Ryan Hall. I'm tired of seeing all these guys go in this formula fighting game. Like, I want to see weird shit. The people want to see it, man. Let's do it.
If you guys didn't know who Ryan Hall was, and I told you that he was a Systema guy, would you believe me after that fight? You'd be like,
no.
He's a Systema.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to say,
I got it figured out here. I got it figured out. This is something, and You can quote me on this. I don't think it's been looked into yet, but I swear to God, if there's some back behind the stage or like lead up fight footage that we haven't seen, because like you're saying, we haven't seen Ryan Hall for a year and a half. Where the hell has he been? He's not very active on Instagram. I don't know where he's been. Has he actually gone over to China? And was he actually training with drunken boxing masters? If he was training with drunken boxing masters, he was sticking to the game plan. And listen, maybe if he won,
That's, you know
maybe we
what?
would see a master like Seagal come out and be like, I taught him that.
First, you're insinuating an all Chinese box. That's not right.
Just the drunken ones.
All right, let's roll to the next one.
All right.
Wait. Before you go, can I say one thing?
Please.
I still love Ryan Hall. He's still my boo-boo.
Me too.
He's still my boo-boo. No matter what, I'm staying with him. I ain't giving up on it. I don't think we learned anything about his jiu-jitsu.
He's a rider
I had
guy.
people that were begging me to make Ryan Hall memes, and I stopped at 2 because it hurt my heart every time, and they were soft. And I laid into Connor like 16 memes deep, and they're like, "Where's the Ryan Hall memes, bro?" I'm like, "Dude, you don't understand how much this hurts."
I feel that.
Hilarious.
All right, moving on down the agenda. Out of bounds in a submission. So here we want to talk about the person is getting submitted and they use the out of bounds to get like a reset or something along those lines. What do y'all think about that idea?
I can speak to this because I've done a lot of IBJJF style refereeing, so I know what their rules state and why they made it the way that it is nowadays, because it wasn't always the way that it is nowadays. So nowadays, if you get caught in a submission and it ends up out of bound, in a way that doesn't look like you forced it, like there's some sus ways where people try to roll and try to get out of bounds. But if the referee decides that it just went out of bounds because it went out of bounds, then they stop the match, they stand it up from the feet, and they give 2 points to the guy who tried the submission, on the pretense that you can't restart a submission back into regular playing field, because nothing's ever the same, right? It's going to be tighter, it's going to be looser, something's going to be different. So they stand it up, they say, good job, good try, here's 2 points, try again, kind of thing. Now, before that rule came into effect in the IBJJF, they would separate and give an advantage. So it was actually more beneficial for somebody to try to get it out of bounds, because not a lot of people win on advantages at a lot of levels. So they'll be willing to give that up much more than 2 points, which is harder to get back. So there were times when people would get in like an ankle lock situation, literally like army crawl backwards out of bounds to try to get it reset. They'd give up the advantage. They'd start standing. They're out of the ankle lock. They wanted to stop that. So nowadays the 2 points is supposed to stop that. But that being said, as a referee, I have seen here's a interesting subtlety to the rules that people may not know, and these people didn't. In a particular match, there was a triangle choke being put on in like the middle of the fucking mat. There was no edge nearby. The guy in the triangle choke stands to his feet, picks his opponent up like he's up 5 feet in the air, and casually walks out of bounds and places him down to get the restart. Now the referee in charge there, he judged by the rule that he was thinking was, well, we got separated, give them 2 points, and they start standing. Where actually, if that happens, if it's flagrant that you are trying to get the out of bounds, that's considered fleeing the mat, and that is a DQ.
So we've got some famous instances, right, of guys rolling out of bounds. I think the most famous and probably notorious one is David Avalon versus Paul Horace. Paul Horace gets him in the leg lock, going for the heel hook in ADCC. He rolls out and they reset in the heel hook, and Paul Horace just absolutely blows up David Avalon's knee. And there's so many examples of this, that being the most obvious of like, wow, there's a reason that, you restart in a sub, there's potential for just really bad consequences for the guy that is having to defend, because there's going to be some gamesmanship, right? I had a match when I was a purple belt where a guy rolled out of my outside heel hook, and we restarted in the middle, and I put in a much deeper heel hook on the restart, and I won immediately. And there's definitely a lot of gamesmanship to the restart, right? I think what really needs to happen is one of two things, okay? First being that the rollout, okay? If somebody aggressively rolls out of a sub or goes out of bounds, through a sub, that there needs to be a position, like a dominant position given to. Now, I don't know about the actual sub, but I think there should be a dominant position given to. But more what I would like to see is that, you know, whether it's some type of sumo rule, like if you get pushed out of an event, points need to be the standard, you know, or like the judge's favor, like if it is a judging match and the guy's constantly going out of bounds or he's canoodling, right? Renato Canuto's constantly just on the edge of the mat so he can use the mat space to his advantage if he's getting ready to get scored on. There needs to be a penalty for that. Now, I'm not smart enough to create something on the spot, but guys like Canuto, guys that are constantly like, oh, I'm getting ready to get taken down like an ADCC, and I'm just happen to be by the side of the mat. I was watching one of Gordon's matches, and guys just play on the side, and even if they get half taken down, they just restart in the middle back to their feet. We need a solution for this.
Can we normalize the verb canoodling? I love that verb, and I feel like that one has a real potential to blow up. I'm going to start memeing canoodling.
I like canoodling. That's good. Easier to say too.
You know, I think it's a situation of like, you know, hate the game, not the player, because if you can roll out of bounds and get some kind of advantage for doing it, they're all going to do it. Even the sub-only guys are going to do it. If that's a rule, they're going to do it. They're going to exploit it one way or another. But it does kind of suck from a fan standpoint. Even when they reset them, because I think there's another organization that resets you back in the full submission, isn't there?
Oh, I'm sure.
I thought there was.
It varies.
But that's not fun to watch. Like
What?
when it's
Yes,
like,
it is.
not that far. It's like it feels odd. Like, okay, now we're gonna, because like. And sorry, I called you Skiff. It's Skaff, but
I thought
you
were doing it on
cheated.
purpose.
You did the same thing. I've watched so many jiu-jitsu matches, which and I don't know how you know, Drew doesn't catch this when he's reffing IBJJF matches. These guys cheat so much on the reset. It's ridiculous. Like they change grips, they tighten it up. Well, the refs, they do this little miming act where they like touch the shoulder, touch the knee, touch the foot. Like they're creating all these memory pods in their head. Like, I know the exact position. And then it's like, they weren't in half guard. Now they're in half guard. The ref doesn't know what he's just like, whatever, just get together. They had to just like, let them keep going. That's the rule. You roll out, keep going. You end up in the stairs, keep going, man. This is WWE style. There's no bounds. Get the finish. I hate all the rolling around.
I can't wait for the World Championships of Jiu-Jitsu where they have 16 mats and they're just letting them keep going no matter where they go. And there's people up in the auditorium, there's people in the bleachers, there's people in the bathroom. Let it go, man. Let it go. There's no balance. Just find your stub. Give them a swirly. You can do this.
Atos guys would be rolling onto each other's mat so they could tag team.
They'd be rolling into the back room to get a little shot of something.
Oh, dang. He pointed him for it, dude. That's when you know the joke was good. You got pointed for the joke.
I had to come back from that poot somehow.
I think more than worrying about what the rule is, we should think about how to fix the culture of that. Because real talk, if you're doing that, if you're rolling out of bounds to score the point, then you no longer have the spirit of Budo within you. Like that's not the way of the samurai, dude. And I'm not saying everything's got to be go out there and get the kill and sacrifice your body or whatever. You know, do whatever you need to do to keep yourself safe. But you know what you did. and
Can I just say for the record,
it needs to be known within the community that that's just like a, you know, kind of like baseball has unspoken rules. Like, no, we don't do that in baseball. We don't do that. We don't talk like that. But there's no crying in baseball. There's no rolling out of bounds in jiu-jitsu. Those should be one and the same. Go ahead.
For the record, the idea of Budo, just to put that out there, people like to quote Musashi in the Book of Five Rings. It's basically a cheat manual, how to win by cheating. You remember the part where he made somebody wait for an hour and a half longer than they were supposed to sword fight before showing up? And you remember the part where he made sure that they were looking into the sun when they were fighting? Yeah, like, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, and that's fucking Budo.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth
He killed
to that.
Man with a wooden boat oar. That's all I need to say. He killed him.
Spirit of Budo.
There is a lot of truth to, guys are going to push the boundaries, right? It's way easier to win by doing some questionable things, not engaging, making sure that if you are engaging, that you are in a position to flee. We need to, right? It's almost like we need to create some type of like moat or something like that, right? You imagine we've got a lifted platform, we've got a moat, and there's just
We're going back to
crocodiles in
UFC
the
1.
mud.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the old age. Like, no, you're gonna fight, and you know what? Why the gladiators had to fight? You go shoot. You're not fighting. Might be a tiger pop out, right? You just imagine a gladiator, like, oh, you come too close to the edge, you're running away from the guys you're supposed to be fighting. Well, all of a sudden a tiger pops out and he's like scratching at your back, like that's one of the scenes from Gladiator that I think we all have like imprinted our minds of like, oh my God, like you got to go face that guy or you're getting
I like the idea. It seems a little cost prohibitive for the promoters, but maybe if we were to play by Eddie's
Tiger
rules, this
King
is the problem.
Eddie and Tiger King start a joint promotion.
Oh my God, I'm already subscribed to that. If we were to go by Eddie's rules, because people always shit on EBI, people always just waiting out the actual time to get to the overtime, and that's their strategy, is just win in overtime. I think that if you were to add something from the striking part of the EBI, what's the one where you get to hit the guy, slap the guy? The combat jujitsu. If you were to add combat jujitsu to regular EBI, but only when somebody has been said to be stalling. So now your opponent is allowed to hit you and you aren't allowed to hit them. And like it starts with a gentleman's dick kick, and then you hit the ground and your opponent's allowed to start hitting you. There's going to be a lot less people trying to play the rules if those are the consequences.
PGF season 4.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, these rolling out of bounds guys are. Imagine if they were general contractors and they were doing work at your house. Is that like the kind of guy you'd want to? How do you get the job done? I'm going to roll out of bounds. It's like great, nice job, man.
I know the foundation is here, but we're going to roll on.
Total quality jujitsu.
Hey, let's shout out Kai Johnson here in the chat. Kai's a member of the YouTube channel. If you're not already a member of the YouTube channel, you can join. You can't do it on iOS, though. So if you're using an iPhone, you got to get on desktop or you got to get on Android. But you can join the YouTube channel. If you catch these live, of course, no cost. But if you want to go back and watch them after the fact, they're hidden behind the members-only paywall. 99 cents a month is where it starts. Don't be slipping. Try to pay me. I'm trying to get paid doing YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Those fedoras aren't cheap.
Dude, you think a hat like this comes without a couple of memberships? Come on, man.
You had to go all the way to the Bahamas for that.
Yeah, dude, I had to travel.
It's like.
All right, we back to the main event now?
Yeah, main event, guys. It happened this past weekend. We've all memed and talked about it. Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. The trilogy, the rubber match. It went down. It did not end how we expected it. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, Conor called it. He was not going to lose that fight, and he can only lose by KO. So the guy, by definition, didn't lose. I mean, I don't think he won, but it's basically a wash at this point. He's still the undefeated champ in his mind. The foot break had nothing to do with the actual fight. Dustin didn't really have anything to do with that. He was winning. He was going to win in the second round for sure. These are all talking points on the Conor side, and you would be shocked to go into the comment section of some of these memes and see some of his butt sniffers parroting these words. They actually believe that he was just setting him up for the second round. Don't worry, this is all part of the game plan. Conor's coming back. He actually won the first round. You know, it didn't look like that near the end, but it's total bullshit. He got dominated in that first round. Dominated. And I don't see that going any better for him in the preceding 4 rounds coming after that, whether or not he broke his foot. Okay, obviously broke his foot. If he didn't break his foot, it's not getting better for him as the rounds go on, because let's be honest, we're coming back to that lucky punch thing. He needs that lucky punch. He's very lucky. He's got many 4-leaf clovers up his ass. I think he's used them all up at this point, but his cardio doesn't get better throughout the rounds. That we know for sure. And you know whose does, or at least stays consistent? Fucking Dustin Poirier. That guy's a diamond. He stays hard throughout the whole thing, and he comes at you hard, and he's not going to stop. If he had you hurt at the end of the first, you can bet he's going to keep you hurt coming into the second.
It's just poor poor choice of words that he stays hard. But Connor, I think
Henry,
you're
yeah.
right. I think you're right, though. I think Connor's a phenomenal fighter. He has high potential to do a lot of cool stuff. But I also think he maybe caught some luck here and there, and like he had ridiculous results because of it, and now he's not having as much of those fortunate circumstances in fights, and it shows when it doesn't kind of go his way. He has a tough time. And Poirier is one of those guys who, man, he earns it. He's earning it in the gym. He loves Jesus. He says his prayers. He takes his vitamins. He's on that freaking Hulkamania routine. You know what I mean? So I feel like he has a real solid base. And Connor, he's got to be up in his own head. At this point, he has to be thinking like, what the hell, man? I would take the money and run. I would retire a villain and just go full villain, get out of the game, talk shit for the rest of my life and count my money. But, I think he is a warrior. He'll probably get back there, but I don't think we're ever going to see that same streaky level that he had. He might come back and do one like amazing thing. He's a high performance vehicle, man. He could do a lot of cool stuff, but I don't know if he can maintain it over multiple fights anymore.
He just needs to fight the Paul brothers a couple times. That's always on the table for these washed up fighters, man. You need that money.
That's what I'm trying to do.
So I think that people are kind of down on Connor. First of all, I want to acknowledge that Skaff was wrong on the main event and that I was right. And I want to make sure that he gets the poot that he's owed. Thank you. All right. And,
are you taking that in lieu of the 10 ADA?
No, I took that too. I took that immediately, but I knew I had to wait for this poop. So I think that people expect Connor to still be like the undefeated champion. But I think what we're learning is not that Connor is not good, it's that Connor's not the GOAT. Like he's just not the greatest of all time. But Connor is still, Tim said it, he's a high performance vehicle, dude. Connor is still thrilling to watch. He is still amazing to watch, and he can still put his left hand on anybody in the division and put them through the ground. So as far as I'm concerned, what Connor needs to do is for a couple of years, get off of this. I'm going to get a title shot train, and let's put some people, dude, I dare you to put the number 6 guy in the world or number 10, whoever those guys are. Put those guys in there with Connor. They'd be happy for the fight, and I think we would see a different level of I think we would see the old Connor again, because the old Connor is really the same Connor. It's just not to the level of the best in the world on a month by month, year by year basis. He's got other interests, so he's not going to be number 1 at one thing. He's trying to be number 1 at like 5 things. So you end up number 2 at all of them that way.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. First, the fight really, it didn't tell me too much. I didn't feel like it was a domination. Now, obviously, Poirier won the round. Obviously, right? I think Connor had a couple of good moments. Strategy, he definitely had made some changes with the leg kicks. It was obvious he had addressed that. He came out too hot. There was no way he was going to keep that pace. If he got to the 3rd round, it was Dustin's fight. 100%. There was no way Connor was going to keep that pace up for 2 rounds, and then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, he was going to get finished if he kept that pace up. He was just going to get exhausted, and Poirier was going to choke because Poirier was going to choke him because we've seen Connor give up when he gets tired. And that's what was going to happen if Connor didn't get the finish in the 2nd round. Now, there's a chance, right? Connor has that left hand. There's always a chance. To me, what it did was it made me go, I don't really care about the 155-pound division. We've got this guy, Khabib, who is one of the GOATs. He's not here, but we know he's the best fighter, right? Mm-hmm. We know he's the best guy. So I don't like when you know that somebody's the best. They're kind of like Gordon Ryan. Like, who's number 1? Gordon Ryan's number 1. Gordon Ryan's not 45. He's not. No, Gordon Ryan is the man. Khabib is the man at 155. I'm not really interested in like a big pay-per-view of Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier. That doesn't really do anything for me. Dustin Poirier, as amazing as he is, he doesn't have that wow factor. There's something missing about him. Maybe he is too nice. Maybe I don't know what it is. For me, though, I think Conor isn't a top 5 fighter. He established that. But I think he has the potential to work his way back up, but only if he does what Brandon says. He needs 2 gimme fights. He needs to fight consecutively in 6 months and get 2 victories. And then from there, we can reassess.
Conor's the kind of athlete who needs to believe in himself to win.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He's the kind of athlete that when his confidence gets broken, he's somebody different. He's the kind of athlete that hires people to walk around behind him and call him the champion before he ever wins the belt, because he needs to believe he's the champion before he can become the champion. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you some people, once you break their spirit, they just never believe, they can never get back to that same level of belief in themselves again, even if they don't recognize it, even if it's subconscious, you know, it's unconscious or whatever.
That's a great observation. Can I make another observation before we get to the last subject here? And I think this one it's not being talked about enough, is coming up as Conor was kind of on the sidelines for the last little while, is Sean O'Malley. And people are calling him the new Conor, and there's a lot of hype behind him because he's got a personality and he's like the next generation Conor is kind of how they're trying to sell him. And is it interesting that both of them snap their legs when they're kicking? I feel like if you're going to build a Conor or build a Sean O'Malley, if there's an attributes chart on like a UFC video game, you have to max out the punching, which takes away from the leg structural integrity. I think there's something there. The harder you hit, the weaker your legs are. The correlation is just too obvious.
Yeah, I don't think it's that obvious, but
I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying. If I was a doctor, you know.
Tim knows what's up.
The UFC Performance Institute right now.
The Sean O'Malley fight. So the whole card was crazy, right? The entire UFC card was crazy. Like, there's so many weird things, and it kind of started with that Sugar Sean fight. Now, I thought it was just a masterful display of technique, of course, and an unbelievable display of heart/chin, right, by Matoot. But do you guys feel like Sean was losing confidence as the fight went on?
Hell yes.
That's kind of what I saw.
Yeah.
You know, I bring that up because we were just talking about Conor's the kind of fighter who has the confidence makes him better. Like, the more wins he's got, the more likely he's about to win. Like, that momentum is even heavier for him. And I started to feel like the momentum and the weight of not finishing Matoot was, I know it's not his real name, not finishing Matoot was really starting to weigh heavily on Sugar Sean. And I felt like I could really feel that stress, like, as I was watching the fight for Sean. I just thought it was interesting.
It was like watching a scary movie where you can't kill the bad guy.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, he won't stop coming. Yeah, it's like at a certain point, you're like, fuck it, take me. Like, but you got it. You know,
how cool was it to see in the first round, dribbling the basketball between his legs. He's pointing. He's, Cody Garbrandt it up, out there. Like, oh, you missed me. I was here. Now you're there, and all that stuff. And by the third round, it had completely switched. You had Matoot. He was, again, not his name. He was walking down, and you could kind of see he was walking down Sean O'Malley, and he absorbed. I mean, it was a significant fight for like UFC history in that. I mean, 80% land? That's insane. But I want to ask you guys this question. Fight to the death. That match keeps going. Who wins?
Matoot takes it.
You
Eventually.
think so?
Oh, yeah.
You know how he'd die, though. You know how Sean would die is he would literally burn every calorie in his body. It wouldn't be from strikes.
I know.
Starve to death.
He'd just waste away.
His little legs would just break in half. That'd be the first thing. Like Drew said, his little toothpick legs would just break in half.
Hey, let me ask you guys this, in all seriousness. Are you excited to see Matoot later?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You want to see what he looks like against, like, when he's not
100%.
being sacrificed to the UFC gods. Do you want to see what he looks like against, a prelim fighter? Because I do.
You know who is excited to watch him? 100,000 new followers on Instagram in the first 24 hours. That's who's excited to see him.
Bro, are you serious?
100,000 new followers. Yeah.
man. Good for him, dude.
I think you got it backwards, Brandon. I want to see him a toot. I don't want to see him fight some undercard scrub guy. I want to see him fight an even better striker. I think we got to see how much he could take.
How
We
much
got
do you
to
hate
run
this
this guy all the way through the chain. Get him up there
It's
against
gonna be-
Francis. Get him out there, man. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do, man.
Let's see him versus Nate Diaz.
He don't even get to wear
bro.
gloves. This is a take
His
punches.
whole family right now is screaming, "No, God, no!"
It's impressive, man. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody wants to be that kind of fighter, though. That's a rough way to be.
Ooh,
Like,
dude.
what's your
That's
strategy?
like, yeah.
well,
Yeah.
what other choice
Chris
did he
Lieben
have? To
shit.
be honest with you, what other choice did he have in this
Sure.
fight? And listen, let's be real. It worked. He got the fight of the night bonus on his very first fight in the UFC.
Yes,
And-
75K.
I was gonna say
In a fight that he
75K.
could not win. He was brought in to sacrifice to
No.
the UFC
Yeah.
god. They killed him. They took him up on the top like the Aztecs. They took him to the top of the temple, to the main card, and they were going to cut his head and bleed him in front of the people. And he wouldn't die. And he
They
earned
dulled
fighting
their
night.
knife on him.
I mean, it was maybe the most impressive loss I've seen in a long time. That's what I'll say.
It
Yeah.
made you believe that anything was possible in some ways. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
because we all think we would be that guy.
Yeah.
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 Disney hasn't been doing it for us lately.
Yeah.
We gotta get some real life stories.
Dude, I loved it. I'm a Matoot Toot fan.
Yeah, and what does it do? In the future for guys that fight O'Malley, are they going to be less afraid? Like, yeah, we'll take a few punches from him. I don't know. I don't know how many KOs
I
he
don't know.
has.
Hey,
They might
listen,
want to condition their chins, like stand in front of somebody and just let them hit them 100 times around.
Yeah.
Get ready.
you know what the next guy's got to think about is that Sean O'Malley got 3 extra rounds of 80% accuracy practice in a game situation.
Yeah, that's
what I mean?
frightening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Bro.
Sean O'Malley's had one really tough fight, right? And what happened? His leg stopped working against Cheeto Vera. So
Come on.
I'm kind of like the Sean O'Malley hype train. While he's incredibly skilled, I'm definitely not buying that stock. His stock definitely didn't go up after this weekend, in my opinion.
What?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. He's still killing it. I think that if nothing else, it just leads more credibility or lends more credibility to the rematch with Cheeto, which, I mean, he's undefeated, right? If you ask him, he's undefeated. That wasn't a loss. He was winning, and then his leg snaps. The same fucking thing as Connor's saying. They're running off the same script. I swear to God, it's the same guy. They just clone these guys somewhere. I think that the title fight or the rematch fight would be very compelling because you could have like the lead up to make it interesting. They both have giant followings in different demographics, right? Vera's got it from, where is he?
Well-
Colombia,
Yes,
Is he from Peru?
Peru,
I think
one of
it's,
those South American ones.
Sorry, I don't know the answer. He's from Ecuador, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from,
no, I think it's from Argentina.
no, it's Ecuador.
He's definitely from Uruguay.
He started playing more-
It's Canadian.
He's-
Yeah. Whoa.
South
Not
Canada.
Canadian. Yeah. Well, but
we
here's
got one
the
more
thing.
topic, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go move on to the next topic because we could keep talking about that all day.
All right, last thing, let's touch on it. There's a bunch of BJJ promotions out there doing all kinds of different point styles, finishing only, all kinds of tournaments, promotions. BJJ, who's got the top 5, and rank them in order of significance for the BJJ community.
I need a point of clarity here.
Are
Are we talking about ADCC and IBJJF in this or no?
We're talking about, this is the question, all right?
All right.
Okay, athlete, importance of an athlete. Like, you're an athlete. What is your top 5 right now? Hey, I want to be the champion of these promotions.
Oh,
And ADCC or an IBJJF are in that or no?
Everything, anything,
Okay.
They have
anything
to.
grappling wise.
Well, okay, so I'll throw out the gate then. If ADCC is included, that's the Mount Everest of grappling. Gi, no gi. I fought MMA. I got a wrestling background. I got a sambo background. Like whatever. If you're a grappler and you're bad enough, you go and win your continent's trial. First of all, that's the coolest thing ever. Like I won the South American trial or I won the North American trials. I love that they call it the trials. That's such a gangster word instead of qualifier, which is what I call it for the PGF. But the trials is an awesome word. Makes me think about the Jedi, about Jedi. But you got to go win and be the best dude on your continent. And then you got to go up against anybody that from any style that won in their continent, any belt rank, any experience level. And yeah, it's put together by the Sheik. Get out of here, dude. That's by far the coolest promotion to be the champion of. The winner of ADCC is the real champion of the world.
So I'm gonna go ahead and throw out some craziness here, because ADCC traditionally, and it is like, right, it's the number one, it's a grappler's like dream. I think though, combat jiu-jitsu, the face, if somebody will just willing to step up and become the face of combat jiu-jitsu, they will become the most popular grappler in the world. I think CJJ's got the most eyeballs on it. I think more people outside of grappling care about CJJ. I think more and more grapplers in, jiu-jitsu are starting to care about CJJ and see the significance of it, as we're seeing more like guys like Roberto, and this next one's got what the Rutolos are doing. We're starting to see studs. I think somebody needs to become the face of CJJ. Like if you can do that, like if you are a competitor and you did that, you then I think the amount of money and the amount of prestige and the amount of everything would just blow ADCC out of the water.
You think just because it's got so many eyeballs on it from the Fight Pass?
Yeah, and I just think more and more, right? Everybody thought this was going to fail. Instead of it failing, turns out it's getting more and more popular each event. Not just more. It's like it's growing faster than ADCC. Like ADCC, they've skipped a year now. Like who knows? Like the dates, their tentative dates, right? Like who knows what's going to happen with ADCC? CJJ, that's number one right now.
That is a hot take.
I like combat jiu-jitsu's amazing. I think that the particular niche that it fills, though, is that gap between jiu-jitsu and MMA. And there's a pass-through now. You see guys on their way out of MMA, and you see guys on their way into MMA. And that's why it's growing so fast, in my opinion, is that group of grapplers are getting involved. There's a lot of high-level grapplers don't want nothing to do with getting hit in the face. So unless you change the jiu-jitsu culture, which is probably going to take a long time, it's not that it's not a worthy thing. I think it should be one of the probably the biggest, but I just think that the participation is just not gonna be there right now. It's got to be ADCC. Like everyone wants ADCC, no gi. If you put the gi on, it's IBJJF Worlds. There's no two. Those are still the talk all the shit. I get it, but those are the top two deals, man. Fight to Win. The thing Fight to Win's doing that nobody's doing is they have a traveling show. Yeah. Nobody's doing it at that level. That's freaking way awesome, man. If you really think about the exposure that they're putting out there for athletes and how they're planting jiu-jitsu seeds in every community they go into, that's probably the most impactful in the terms of overall grappling. But I want old EBI. I know Eddie's like past all that. It seems, I don't know. Maybe he'll bring it back. I want that shit back, man. That was the thing, man. Everyone loved EBI. I feel like that was it. It was EBI, man. So
all right, I got
I can't really drop it on you about EBI, but I can tell you it's coming back.
Hell yes!
Shit. Oh shit! All right, I was worried that Tim just stole some of my thunder because that was one I was holding in my back pocket. But if we're gonna go down the list of top five, and top five is it's a bit of a stretch in grappling, to be honest, because everybody knows the top two, and depending who you talk to, it's going to be one flipped in front of the other. I think that if you would have asked this question between ADCC and IBJJF 10 years ago, it would have been IBJJF 100 out of 100 times. Because A, you do it every year. So if you're a competitor, you have a chance to become a world champion every single year. B, the ADCC was niche back then. The shows were not that well put together. They were kind of like, they're in different countries, but the production was not that great. Even the one in China was like, there was horror stories all over the place. I think it really became what we think of it as now in 2019. That was the one that really popped off. And since then, people have been waiting for that to be repeated. Was it 19? It was 19, right? Yeah, they do the odd years. So, but the thing that ADCC has going for them, which I think solidifies them without any argument at the top right now, is A, what Brandon was saying, because any style can compete. B, doing it every 2 years adds exclusivity, as well as you can't just apply to go in. Like, I know that the IBJJF now, they make you qualify as a black belt. You have to have a certain amount of points at their other tournaments to be able to come in. But every other level, you can go and just be like, well, I'm in California during this month. I'm going to go try to be the best blue belt in the world and just jump in. ADCC is all elite athletes that have to prove their medal or get an invitation because they've proved their medal. So I think that is now, and probably will be for the rest of time, if they keep going, higher than IBJJF as far as prestige is concerned. Now, if we're past the top two, what's left underneath that? I think, to speak to Tim's reveal there, is EBI still holds that mantle. In my heart, people who were around during EBI, that is the tournament that made Gary Tonin who he is. I don't care about Kumite. That was cool when he was a brown belt. EBI is what made Gary Tonin. It's what made Gordon Ryan. He was the, what was he called? The Iron Dragon or something back then. He won the Absolute. Yeah. He was a no-name at that point, and he blew up after that point. You saw Eddie Cummings. He was another guy. Like, I don't think the type of excitement around those styles of tournaments has ever been the same since EBI, including combat jiu-jitsu, because I think combat jiu-jitsu is trying to rise up to the level that EBI already had. And I feel like, God bless Eddie, he's got this thing in his heart he wants to do, but I don't think that it has been better than EBI. And I really think it would be a benefit, like Brandon's saying, hopefully here, that he brings EBI back, because he owns that number 3 spot, and I think he can climb up the ladder. Everything below that, to add a 4th and a 5th, is just like, throw your favorite promotion in there. They're all trying to be what Metamoris was at some point, except pay their people.
See, I think this last CJJ card was one of the best shows. It compares with any EBI show. Yeah. It was incredible. And I think a guy like, if Roberto goes and wins this next 185 and then wins his way to 205, he's got, like, because people remember Gary Tonin and those guys, like, and people still talk about, like, nobody cares about Gary Tonin's ADCC performances or Gordon Ryan. I mean, people like, yeah, Gordon Ryan's double, but it's who is EBI? That's what people know him for. Remember that EBI match with Craig Jones? Remember that EBI match that you had? Remember when he took out the Absolute division? CJJ is going to become that. And if Roberto was smart, he would just go, I don't care about this other stuff. I'm going to become the Gordon Ryan of CJJ.
I think that in order for, like, Roberto to do that, though, whoever does it is going to have to win in the other organizations too. If you're just dominating CJJ, they're going to go like, yeah, but he's not doing all the other stuff. And also, though, I think ADCC's been the top for a long time, because they're like 22 years old. You got like Mario Sperry, Henzo Gracie, Hoyler, Jean-Jacques. All those guys were up in the ADCC game, dude. All of those guys were doing it back then. I think it's a question of quantity and quality, though, because the quality is with ADCC because of the exclusivity, but the quantity is securely with IBJJF. Not only can you win it every single year, but at every single belt. So there's so many champions they put out that their industry exposure or importance to be able to put world champion under your fucking Instagram bio as a white belt, like, that's something that's really important to the jiu-jitsu community as a whole. The other thing too is, like, EBI really, I think I think you're right. I think it's the number one thing. But I want to say this: there's no EBI without Metamoris. That weird little rivalry that took place in that little 3-year time frame, it was dope. It was rad. It was awesome. It was exclusive contracts and Halleck Gracie rapping and, like, events going on. It was rad, dude. It was so much fun to be part of it. It really was a fun time. And I think it kind of, they drove each other a little bit. I wish Metamoris was still here, honestly, because I think it was pretty cool.
Who doesn't? All of the competitors that competed for Metamoris. They wish it wasn't here.
But you know what? Look, this is the rub, and this is what sucks. A lot of times when you're first, even though Halleck wasn't really first, but Metamoris was kind of first to really, really do it up. And yeah, they had a lot of money behind it in the beginning. But a lot of things he was doing that got criticized for, these guys ended up doing anyway, like the exclusive contract stuff. You know how many organizations owe dudes money? I'm not like, I know that it's unscrupulous to do that, but at the same time, he put himself out there and did it. He gave those guys a stage and a platform that they flat out didn't have before. And so, yeah, maybe he mismanaged it. Maybe he didn't do the right thing. But we're lucky that he did it. I'm super glad that he did it.
He wasn't the right guy, but he was the first guy.
And he was at the right time.
Yeah. You know what?
So-
I'm really surprised that. I'm really surprised that at all you guys actually, because you all really messed up right here. Because we were talking about the top 5, and none of us mentioned the most entertaining. And this, when I say this, you're gonna go, "Oh yeah, you're right." The most entertaining grappling format to watch, which is quintet.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but nobody wants to watch team like all the time.
No,
I
no,
don't think.
that is not
No,
correct.
all of Japan wants to watch that. They love that shit.
And listen to me.
We're not in Japan. What
You know,
are you talking
a
about?
lot of
They
Japanese
love that in
people.
Uruguay. Well, this is huge over in the
Huge in
Polynesian
Japan.
Islands.
And the Falcons. It's the most entertaining format to watch.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons is because we don't have to have referee involvement, and because a draw matters in the quintet format.
Yeah.
A draw
Yeah,
is
you know
part
what?
of the game.
I was running tournaments before the pandemic yearly, and we had an intermission between the kids and the adult section that would always be like a super fight, like expose basically, or an expo to showcase some good grapplers. And it started off with just one-off matches that we'd have 2 or 3 of them, and then it went into EBI style ones. We want EBI rules because it was what was killing back in 2013 and 14. But then recently, for the last couple of years, it switched to quintet rules. And to be honest, like, there's nothing that builds team morale more than having your team of 5 killers go out against their team of 5 killers, and you beat that whole gym when you win.
Yeah, I mean, that's been happening the last couple of weekends with some of our guys. We've been doing, I'm sorry, we're changing batteries right there. But I've been doing, our team has been doing quartets, Skaff, like the last 2 or 3 weekends?
Yeah,
Something
2
like
out of the
that.
past 3 weekends.
Yeah, and they love doing them. And exactly to your point, Drew, it brings in like a team spirit, you could almost like you could have a pep rally now. You can't really have a pep rally for one guy, but you have a pep
Bring in the
rally.
cheerleaders.
Right.
Yeah. So
Should
it's a
have
lot
the
of fun.
the quartet actually sing as a quartet before they grapple. That would
Dude,
be
that's
fantastic.
great
Next
idea.
level.
Yeah.
I know Matt would be down for that. He's got a hell of a falsetto.
I'm a baritone.
Dress as dandy. I'm a dandy boy. They could get out there and sing. That'd be awesome. Man.
Yeah. So, what as far as like top 5 goes, listen, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm tooting my own horn a little too much right here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we got to include the PGF in top 5 promotions to be a champion of, simply because there's no other event like it to be the champion of.
That's true. You got a whole organization.
That's right. If you want to have a unique crown, if you want to go through a challenge that not everybody else will go through, and we had, in the exit interviews for the PGF in season 2, we had Hunter say this, and Kamoy says this, and all of these high-level brown and black belts are like, listen, not everybody is cut out for a tournament like this. If you really want to challenge yourself and do something that nobody else is doing, the PGF is a great way to challenge yourself and do that. You're locking in for a week, and you're having 15 matches against real bangers over the course of a week, and then you got to win in specific ways to score your points. That's really unique. Now, is it the best? I'm not saying it's the best. What I'm saying is, from a grappler standpoint, why would, like, that sounds intriguing. That sounds challenging. I would like to have that belt on my mantle.
So,
and somebody's got to come in to beat Elijah too.
It's super fun to watch.
I'm going to give you guys the top 5. Here it is. All right. We've got CJJ, ADCC, Submission Underground, having Chael Sonnen say you're the best over and over and treat you like a world champion. That's what I want as a competitor. Chael telling everybody, like, nobody can beat Mason Flower. Nobody can beat Craig Jones. I want that. Okay. Who's number 1 in the PGF? Give me those 5 all day. I want to be the champion of those organizations. Leave all the rest. You can leave Kasai, Third Coast, all that other crap.
Those are all the same promotion.
I know. Yeah. I love Chael, but I feel like he's always got somewhere to go during SUG. He's always going, like, he's like, okay, man, I got to be out of here at this time. Like, he just, like, dude, what's the rush, man?
I feel the same way.
Chael's a funny dude.
Too fast.
He goes fast, man.
Yeah, so we did it. Hour 10. Look at us.
We ready to add up these points?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right,
I already
guys.
know I won.
It was a hard-fought battle out there today. I want to
didn't do good.
congratulate all the competitors. We've got a close lineup here.
Start with last.
Okay, so coming in last,
Man.
surprisingly, Skaff.
Ah,
I mean, I deserved it with the Connor pick. Like I
It was
knew
a
I
Connor
got booted
pooch.
for
That's
that.
what put you
I
out.
knew- yeah, I mean, I just knew that it was going to be a bad day for me. So, and I deservedly.
I'm so happy about
And
that. I don't care what else
Skaff
happens.
did get the most poots today.
How many poots overall?
He got 2.
Double poots. Give him one
Damn.
more. It's already over. Just
Ah!
What does it matter at this point?
All right. Now, we've got a tie for second place. I guess second and third.
Oh, dang.
Drew
Mhm.
and Tim.
Oh my God! I am the
Oh
winner!
no!
Show's
Oh,
rigged.
no.
Rigged. I want to recount.
Well, this is Brandon's first place.
This is Brendan's first
Oh
victory.
my God! I am so good.
He came
I
in
split the vote. Sorry,
He
Drew.
got the victory simply because he did not get pooted on today.
I was gonna
Oh,
say the
that's
food fucked me
rare.
over this time. Damn. I stand by it. Spinning shit is now illegal.
Yeah.
Tim, I want to use this opportunity to praise you guys. I thought y'all did a great job, guys, except for Skaff. Everybody did really good.
Thank you, Brandon.
I
That
did have
means
a-
a lot to me, man. Thank
Listen, Tim, I'm really happy to have you on, dude. I'm so happy you're up in Nashville. Everybody go and check out 10th Planet Nashville if you're up
Please.
in that area.
It'd be awesome.
Everybody
Weedhead.
make sure for Skaff, get the Grappling Discourse podcast. Start listening to that. He does one of the best podcasts in jiu-jitsu. It's just a solo podcast. They're all very short, very digestible, and from a very wise practitioner. Make sure you're subscribed to the Grappling Discourse podcast. And then make sure you're following Because Jitsu on Instagram. Drew is the #1 mean guy in the BJJ game. So that's what I want to do for my moment. I want to shout these guys out.
Aw, Brandon can win every time. This is what he's trying to do. He's trying to butter us up, so we all want him to win. Well played.
I like winning. All right. Can we, just for a quick second here, Keelan, can we shout out Derek Chilson over here, one of the YouTube channel members? I want to make sure anytime that the guys who are actually supporting the channel with their memberships, that we're shouting them out in the comments. And he says he wants to give a shout out to Matt Elkins after his performance last weekend. He subbed 3 guys in a row to get the win for his team in Nashville.
Woo!
He actually only subbed 2 guys in a row, but he did finish off the last 2. He choked
2 black belts.
2 black belts to close it out.
And then he
So-
subbed Derek Chilson's heart.
And he subbed Derek's heart. But yeah, Matt Elkins, one of our training partners here and one of the owners of Ironclad, or one of the head coaches at Ironclad Wrestling Club down in Birmingham. Ferocious. Not a Moonhead, not 10th Planet school.
Gotta join that
But
cult.
He trains with us every week. So he actually armbarred me so hard yesterday that I didn't know that I had gotten armbarred so hard until I got home, and then I was like, Matt Elkins.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dog. So shout out to Matt Elkins. All right, what else, Coach? Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, join us again next week. So we do this every Thursday. Thursday's podcast day around here. Me and Lindsay go live with Brandon, and Lindsay have a podcast now around 10 a.m. And then we go live with Around the Mat here at 1:30 p.m. This is all central. And then at 4, I think it's actually 3:30 our time. I can't remember what time the PGF Insider goes live with Wallow J and those guys. So there'll be another podcast specifically devoted to the PGF every week on
Nice.
Thursday. Comes up right after this. So you guys stick around. If you're not subbed to the channel, please subscribe, hit like, share with your friends. This is a fun format, dude. I really love doing
Oh yeah,
this
it's my
with
favorite,
everybody.
man. It's my favorite.
I'm having so much fun with this, and I feel like I don't know. It gets the ball rolling. Everybody gets to kind of.
He says
That's
that
fun.
after he
A
wins an
little bit.
episode.
Yeah.
He's like, I love this.
Feeling really a lot better about this, guys.
Yeah.
Really didn't like it before this.
No, this is the best. Especially
Thanks,
when
guys.
it's particularly good when I win. Definitely better for the people when I win. And then again, those of you who are inclined to do so, please think about joining the YouTube channel. Right? It's 99 cents a month is the baseline one. You get exclusive member only videos. the training that we're doing in the gym. So my classes are going to be filmed. They're going up live, real time.
Nice.
And then if you want to go back and watch them after the fact, you have to be a member of the YouTube channel. All right. And we're just filming them live. It's not a professional setup, but you get to follow what we're doing. Well, I say it's not a professional setup. It's way more professional than most instructionals right out the gate, just the way we're doing it. But you get to follow along with our curriculum and our classes in real time and see what it is that we're actually working on. So I added that in because it's been requested so much. So we're doing minimum four lives a week, every week with our classes, 2 hours at a time. So if that interests you, definitely jump on and join the YouTube channel, become a bread eater. Show them what happens when they become a bread eater. Play the video.
Womp, womp, womp. Bread eater.
Smells like bread in here.
And that's what happens if you join the YouTube channel. We'll play that for you. All right. That's it. We're out, guys. Thank you.